Good evening, everybody. I am Vibhu Swain from PowerTech Consultant. Today we start our webinar number 9. I'll share my screen with you. So webinar number 9 is basically the chapter 1 of book 3. That means electrical systems. It is the chapter 1 of energy efficiency in electrical utilities. In this chapter, we will discuss about the electrical systems, how the electricity is generated, how it is transmitted, and how it is distributed. Now, let us come to the introduction of electrical power supply system. As you know, electrical power supply system in a country comprises of generating units that produce electricity, high voltage transmission line that transport electricity over long distance, distribution line that deliver the electricity to consumer, substation that connect to pieces to each other, and energy control center to coordinate the operation of the component. That means there are major 5 components. One is generation, where the electricity is generated, maybe for maybe might be a thermal power plant or a hydro power plant or a natural gas power plant or a nuclear energy based power plant. So first is generation of electricity. Then once it is generated at very lesser voltage, maybe at 11 kV or 33 kV up to or 15 kV or 16 kV. The power is generated at the generator. Then it is transmitted or it is stepped up so that it can be transmitted from generating station to the load end or the user end or towards the load center. So you require a transmission system that is known as high voltage transmission system or extra high voltage transmission system. After that, if the power has reached to the nearest to the load center, then it is further stepped down so that it can be distributed to different industries, different consumer. So you have a distribution system, and in between you require some substations for stepping up the voltage at the generator end, for stepping down the voltage at the distribution end, so that you transmit the voltage at high voltage, at extra high voltage, but it is utilized at lower voltage or at reduced voltage or at after stepping down the voltage. And therefore substation will be one component of the total electrical power systems. The fifth component, which is one of the important components, that is basically electrical power control or power system control. You need to control the power flow, you need to control the voltage, you need to control the megawatt flow, you need to control the frequency. Therefore, power system control is one of the major component of electrical power systems. Now, as you know, generation can be any type: thermal, hydro, natural gas based, oil based, solar based, wind based, renewable energy based, biomass based power plant. So generation can be anything. But as of now, the book says that 70% of the power generating capacity in India is from coal based thermal power plant. These figures keeps on updating itself. Now the renewable energy portfolio is coming up, so this might go down. Now, how a coal-based thermal power plant operates? Now, let us come to this figure. First one is, this is the typical layout or the typical process flow diagram of a thermal power plant, in which this is the coal supply. You require coal for running a thermal power plant. This coal is mined from the peated power from the mines, or you import it from Indonesia, South Africa, from different coal producing countries, or you mine from your indigenous coal mines. After that, this coal is stored, it transported through wagon or by truck, stored in the power stations, then through conveyor it goes to crusher so that it can be sized. Why sized coal is required? To have minimized improve combustion efficiency. So in the crusher it becomes pulverized or sized. Then this pulverized coal or the sized coal is fed to the boiler, where because of uh, initial ignition temperature, it catches fire and this coal burns. Then you supply primary air and secondary air. So you control the combustions and you burn the coal. The heat energy released from the coal is utilized to heat the water inside the boiler tube, due to which steam at high pressure and temperature is produced, and this steam goes to the steam turbine. It rotates the steam turbine because this high pressure and high temperature steam expands in the turbine. So once it rotates the turbine, it also rotates the generator. Both generator and turbine are coupled together. So due to turbine rotation, the generator also rotates, due to which electricity is produced. This is the generating end transformer or substation transformer. This generation is at 11 kV or 15 kV. It is stepped up to higher voltage, maybe at 33 kV or 220 kV or 130 kV. It is transported by using lattice galvanized tower structure, so that this power can flow to the load center, which is at a very higher distance. Now in this process, what happens, what are the byproduct? One byproduct is the ash. This is the bottom ash from the boiler. This is another fly ash from the electrostatic precipitors, because when this dry flue gas goes to the atmosphere, to this stack, it carries some amount of fly ash. Since the fly ash, the SPM level will hamper the environment. Therefore, we need some electrostatic precipitator which will catch the fly ash, and this fly ash will be transported maybe through pneumatically, and this bottom ash and both fly ash then further can be transported by trucks or by high concentration slurry disposal system, SD system, to the lagoon or the asphalt. Now once this steam enters, it expands, then there is a condenser is there. This condenser cooling water flows. This is the cooling tower. Cooling water goes with the help of condenser, and in this the hot water coming from the steam turbine get cold, and the temperature reduces. The steam get converted to hot water. This cooling tower cool water which is flowing inside takes the heat of the steam or the hot water and goes to the cooling tower. So this is the process condenser, where the heat exchange takes place. The steam releases its heat to the cooling water circuit, and the hot water is again pumped to the boiler pit pump. It goes to the boiler, and some makeup water is always added, because there is some steam loss happens in the system, so makeup water is added. This is a boiler demineralized water, where which is used in the boiler. And this condensed cooling tower, this hot water goes to the cooling tower, it gets cooled. It might be a induced draft cooling tower, it might be a natural draft cooling tower. So this is the cooling tower circuit. This is the water and steam circuit. This is the power generating circuit. This is the flue gas circuit, and this is the ash circuit. This is the coal feeding. This is the typical process flow diagram of thermal power plant. So what is there? The energy stored in the coal is converted to electricity in thermal power plant. Coal is pulverized to the consistency of talcum powder. That means it is made into very fine particles. This powdered coal is blown into water wall boiler, where it is burned at a higher temperature, maybe at around 1300 degrees centigrade. heat of the combustion gas is transferred into steam. The heat energy of combustion gas transferred to the steam energy is get transferred to the steam energy. Then the high pressure, high temperature steam is used to run the steam turbine to spin. Finally, steam turbine rotates the generator to produce electricity. Now, what is the energy efficiency in this whole cycle? That means it is known by heat rate. By terminology, you have to remember what is that? That is heat rate. Heat rate means it is the heat output in kilocalorie or kilojoule for generating 1 kilowatt hour of electrical output. That means how much of kilocalorie I am feeding in, that is your input, and how much of output kWh, that is electrical energy, is getting, that is output. So heat rate is basically input energy divided by output energy. Input energy in the terms of kilocalorie, output energy in terms of kWh. So heat rate is basically inversely proportional to efficiency. What is efficiency? Efficiency of a system is always output by input, but whereas heat rate is input by output. Now, in this case, whether heat rate should be higher, it is a better system, or heat rate, if it is a lower, it will be a better system. No doubt, if heat rate is lower, it will be a better system because efficiency will be higher. That means you are utilizing lesser energy to produce more output. So heat rate should be lower. What is the unit of heat rate? Kilocalorie per kWh or kilojoule per kWh. Now heat rate of typical Indian thermal power plant is in the range of 3000 kilocalorie per kWh. Now there are few conversions. I have already told you that 1 kWh is equal to 860 kilocalorie, that you have to remember, or 3600 kilojoule. So heat rate is inversely proportional to the power generation or inversely proportional to the efficiency of power generation. Now there are few other terms in thermal power plant. Those who are working in thermal power plant, they are quite aware about those terminologies. One is gross heat rate. That means total gross energy divided by kWh. Another one is net heat rate. That means some auxiliary consumption will be there, and only sent out will be your net energy sent out. So total energy, gross input energy divided by net energy is known as net heat rate. So gross heat rate is equal to net heat rate minus divided by 1 by X percentage. So these things a power plant operator or power plant engineer knows. So you just remember gross heat rate and net heat rate, and it is related by auxiliary power consumption. But if the heat rate is lower, it is a better system. So a power plant engineer has to do lot of measure, adopt lot of implementation plan to reduce the heat rate so that it can increase the efficiency. Now come to transmission and distribution systems. Basically, all you know, it is a three-phase supply we get in our household or you get in our industries. But this three-phase in Indian system, the frequency is 50 cycle per second, which is known as Hertz. So our system is 50 Hertz per cycle, alternating current and three-phase. But when you generate, it might be at 11 kV or 15 kV or 33 kV, which is stepped up to higher voltage. Now extra high voltage transmission and high voltage transmission, HV and EHV are used so that you can transmit that type of energy from the thermal power plant to a higher long distance. And that which voltage? 220 kV, 400 kV. Remember the word 220 kV. That means 220 into 1000 volt. 400 kV, that means 400 into 1000 volt. Now 765 kV systems are also available in India. Why you require high voltage transmission? Because if you increase the voltage, then automatically what will happen? Your R becoming same, resistance becoming same, current will reduce. If current will reduce, automatically I square R, heating loss, will be reduced. Therefore, once you increase the voltage, the current rating goes down. So you can use lesser size of conductor. Otherwise, if the voltage is low, you have to increase higher size of conductors or very bulkier conductor where resistance might have increased. So high voltage transmission, due to high voltage transmission, your power loss decreases. To reduce power loss, to have efficient energy system, we increase the voltage. Also, the voltage drop will be negligible. But if it's a lower voltage transmission, the voltage drop will be there. What are soft transmission network? It is 132 kV, 110 kV. In Odisha, we have 132 kV, but in Gujarat and other part of the country, we have also 110 kV, 66 kV is also available, 33 kV. These are soft transmission network or ST voltage, out of which these two basically are EST voltage. Then distribution is done at 11 kV, 6.6 kV, and 3.3 kV. In some state also, you distribute at 33 kV. So distribution system starts from 33 kV to 3.3 kV, because you cannot consume energy at a higher voltage. It has to be reduced to a LT voltage or a ST voltage, maybe at 11 kV or 6.6 kV, where you can rotate your ST motors. Or for my household appliance, household consumption, I require 440 volt or 230 volt. But for transmission, to have reduced voltage drop, to have reduced I square R loss, to have efficient system, we need transmission system for which we transmit the power supply at a higher voltage. So generation, transmission, and distribution. Distribution is a 11 kV or 6.6 kV system. Now this is a typical electrical power system layout or drawing, where you can easily understand, particularly mechanical and other stream engineers need to understand this. This is a generator which generates at 10 kV. Then you step up. Step up means you increase the voltage from 10 kV to 400 kV. This is a HV or extra high tension, EHV. You name it EHV, extra high tension or extra high voltage transmission line. Then you reduce it, step down. This is the 1000 kilometer line or 500 kilometer line. Then you step down to 400 kV to 33 kV. And this 400 kV to 33 kV, this 33 kV voltage you can give it to bigger industries. Even some industries takes 400 kV and they himself install another substation inside their plant boundary to reduce the voltage from 400 kV to 33 kV. So bigger industries, bigger steel plant can take 400 kV, 220 kV, 130 kV as well. But basically the medium scale industries or the big industries can also take 33 kV per supply. So depending upon their requirement, they can either take 33 kV or 400 kV. So you require one step down. Then again it is further step down to 33 kV and 11 kV. So that 11 kV can be fed to different medium scale industries. After that, again we divide it to or step down to 11 kV to 6.6 kV. 6 kV. This somewhere 6.6 kV if system is available, it can feed to still smaller industries. Then from further your 11 kV or 6.6 kV can be stepped down to 400 volt. That means you get RYVN. So this is the three phase, this is the neutral current, and this is the transformer neutral. So if I get three phase supply means I get 1 R, Y, V and N, 3 phase and 1 neutral. So I get three phase supply for my house. Sometimes a small house load can also take single phase supply. That means 1 R and 1 N. This is 230 volt. But altogether this line voltage is basically 400 volt. So this is a typical power system flow diagram in which the generator, transmission, then distribution system and the consumption system has been shown. Now as I told you, if the distribution of power is raised from 11 kV to 33 kV, the voltage drop would be lower by 1/3 and line loss will be lowered by 1/3 square, that is by 1/9. So to have reduced voltage drop, to have reduced line loss, we transmit the power at a higher voltage. And this will also call for bigger size of conductors, because lower voltage transmission, distribution will call for bigger size of conductor on account of current handling capacity needed. So if you transmit the power at a lower voltage, you will be requiring bigger size conductor, for which the cost of the power system will go up because it needs higher size current. So therefore, because there is an increase in current, the size of the conductor has to be higher. Just like if the water flow is high, then you need bigger size of pipe. If the water flow is low, then you require lesser size of pipe. But if voltage is here is related to head and the water flow is related to current. Now, what do you mean cascade efficiency? Now, cascaded efficiency, before that, we should understand what are the other systems components of the electrical power system. One is capacitors. These capacitors are required to improve the power factors, because there is an inductive load at the load end. Also, transmission line, it has some inductance. So, to minimize the inductive load, to minimize the lagging power factor, to minimize the lagging kVAR, we put capacitor bank so that it can cause the current to lead the voltage, and you will get good power factor and you will get good voltage profile. Then apart from that, there are a lot of current interrupting devices like switches, circuit board breakers, fuses, which are ability to switch on or switch off the current when it is in low conditions or in no load conditions. There are relays. Relays means we can sense some abnormal in voltage, abnormality in current, low voltage, high voltage, low current, high current. In that case, it will try to trip the circuit. It will try to isolate the circuit. So once relay senses some over voltage, what it will do? It will give a signal to the circuit breaker so that circuit breaker can trip the system and your balance system will be in healthy condition or will be in safe condition. So for safety, for healthiness of the systems, we require circuit breakers and relay. These are known as protection systems. Then further transformer are also required at strategic location to step up the voltage or step down the voltage so that minimum power losses will occur in the T&D system, transmission and distribution system. Therefore, now let us come to the cascade efficiency. When the power supply starts from generator end to and reaches in the load end, lot of efficiency occurs in the system, lot of losses occur in the system. If I overall calculate the whole losses, I'll get a cascading losses. Inverse of that is basically, or from that losses, I can find out what is the cascading efficiency of the T&D system, transmission and distribution systems. From generator to load end, what will be my efficiency? So this is known as cascade efficiency. Now let us come to this figure. Now generator, once you put all the coal here, you will get electricity, but your generator does not convert. It is not an efficient system. Its efficiency is not 100%. So there will be some losses. There will be some dry flue gas losses, stack losses, or moisture losses, heat losses will be there. So the generator efficiency is typically 28 to 35%. Depending upon the size of the thermal power plant, age of the plant, or capacity utilization, the efficiency will be in the range of 28 to 35%. Now let us come to step up substation. That means the voltage needs to step up and to 400 kV or 800 kV or 765 kV or 220 kV. There is a transformer. So transformer has its own inherent losses. So that is in the range of 0.5%. So here I got a 99.5% efficiency of this system only. N2 is 99.5%. So 1 minus 0.5, get the losses, so efficiency becomes 99.5%. Then if you have EHV transmission, that means it will transmitted, the power supply will have to travel around 1000 km or 500 km in the EST transmission system. So there will be losses of 1%, let us say. These are assumption losses, but normally typically the range is in this range only. So 1 minus 1% is around the efficiency of the EHV. N3 is 99%. Now HV transmission system, that means the voltage again will be stepped down so that it can be feed given to the bigger industries or smaller industries or medium industries. So the efficiency of HV system is around N4. Typically N4 is 97.5%. The maximum losses can be 2.5%. So 1 minus 2.5, it is 97.5%. Soft transmission, similarly, the efficiency is 96% because soft transmission N5 is 96%. Why? The maximum losses in soft transmission is 4%. Distribution stations N6, it is in the range of 0.5% because there is a Morley transformers are there. Efficiency is 99.5%. Primary distributions. Distribution is final link between the user at 11 by 33 kV. So envisaged losses minimum 5% and so efficiency is 95%. So end user premises is basically what will happen. The cascade efficiency will be from generation to end user will be N1 into N2 into N3, N4, N5, N6, N7. If I multiply all these losses or I multiply all this efficiency, I'll get a cascaded efficiency. So what is the cascaded efficiency for this typical example of the T&D system is around 87%. How? You have to multiply all these 0.95, 995, 99, 975, 96, 995, 0.95. It becomes 87%. That means it does not consider the generator efficiency. If in that case you have to multiply 0.828 or 0.35. Here this cascading efficiency from generator to end user, it takes care of N1. But this is a cascading of efficiency of T&D system. That's why it's taking care only N2 to N7. Correct? Now, as far as India is concerned, the standard T&D losses is 17%. So, what will be a cascade efficiency of the T&D system of India? Standard one will be 1 minus 17%, that is around 83%. We have to remember this figure. Standard cascade efficiency of Indian T&D system as of now is around 83% because standard T&D loss is 17%. Now let us come to an industrial user process flow diagram or a single line diagram of electrical distribution systems. Now here you get the electrical EB supply. EB supply means electrical power supply from the distribution company. So it can be 400 kV, it can be 11 kV. Based on this substation design, you can avail power supply at different voltage. So industry has a choice where at what voltage it needs to get the supply from the distribution company. In this typical case, this electrical distribution, this plant or the industry is availing power supply at which voltage? See here it is 11 kV. So what is the transformer rating? 11 kV by 400 volt. That means this is the LT voltage. This is the ST voltage. So it is getting power supply at 11 kV. What is this? This is a tri-vector meter or energy meter which records the electrical energy, voltage, current, demand. This is utilized for the billing purpose so that distribution company can bill this industry based on this tri-vector meter reading. Now these are basically isolator or circuit breaker. That is to switch off this supply in case of some unsafe condition, you can disconnect this circuit breaker. If there is some under voltage or over voltage is there or lighting occurs there, then it can get tripped to protect the down the line circuit. Now these are known as substations, or there are two sections here, section A, section B. That means these are the panels basically in which the breakers are there. So these are 400 kV ACB air circuit breakers are there. These are the circuit breakers 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are the meters to record the particular energy consumptions in these sections. Now this meter record the power supply consumption for all the fan and blowers. Now this is the motor, this is the driven equipment or fan or blowers, and this is another breakers, and this is the cable. So similarly, for pumps, you have some separate circuit. From RCAC compressor, you have another separate circuit. For lighting and heating lot, you have another circuit. That means this voltage is again phase wise or is again separately given to different for different sections for its different applications with the help of energy meters. These energy meters are important as far as energy conservation is concerned, because unless you don't measure anything, you cannot conserve energy. Now you see here there is another one is DC set. That means in case there is a power failure, this DC set will be able to run this total electrical supply by starting the DG state, and there is a isolation is circuit is there. So if DG set is operating, you should not operate electrical power supply. If electrical power supply is available, we should not operate DG set. Sometimes in synchronized condition, both DG set and electrical power supply can work together, provided there is a synchronization relay is there which can synchronize both the supply at one phase sequence at one almost equal voltage. So this is your metering, this is your transformer efficiency, this is the distribution loss, this is the feeder capacitor switch to improve the capacitance, to improve the power factor capacitor is placed. Then this is the distribution lines, this is the motor efficiency in the range of 85 to 96%. And this is the mechanical load. These are all fan, blower, pump, RC compressor, lighting. These are all mechanical loads. This is the electrical circuit. This is the mechanical part. Now, typical distribution network efficiency input in transformer is 95%. Motor efficiency is about 90%. So you have to remember these figures. So motor efficiency is 90%. Now, in this mechanical system also 30% efficiency or 30% loss, energy lost in the mechanical system. So typically efficiency of the mechanical system is around 70%. So what we have known? We have known the T&D losses is around 83% standard, Indian standard. T&D loss is 17%. So efficiency is 83%. Now 95% is the transformer loss. Motor efficiency is, sorry, 95% is the transformer efficiency, 90% is motor efficiency, and mechanical system efficiency is 70%. So if I multiply what is the cascade efficiency from T&D to load end, I'll get this figure. That means from generator end, apart from generator, if I start calculating, the overall energy efficiency becomes 50%. How? 0.83 is the standard efficiency, 0.95 is the transformer efficiency, 0.9 is the motor efficiency, 0.7 is the mechanical efficiency. That means I get a 50% efficiency. That means if I am giving 2 units of generation, I'll be getting only 1 useful energy at the mechanical end or the output end. Therefore, it is usually known as 1 unit saved in end user is equal to 2 units generated in power plant. So this is a, you can easily prove it by this example, that 1 unit saved in end user is equivalent to 2 units generated in thermal power plant. With this, I conclude this first portion. This is a very small one, but you need to read these books. Those particularly who are from different engineering background, particularly mechanicals or chemical, they have to understand electrical systems, because without electrical energy monitoring, energy conservation cannot be achieved. So these are very simple example, but if you read the books, and it can be, it is very well explained. With this, I conclude, and we start the next webinar subsequently. Thank you. Good night.